Welcome to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or who should be in the news. And again, our guest for today has been one of the more regular guests that we've had in this program. And when we talk about the topic of law, definitely our guest for today, Attorney Raymund Fortun, is always our guest and at the forefront. So, welcome again, Attorney.
Thanks,
Okay.
Gerry.
So,
good to be back.
ang title ng program natin ngayon, Law, A Time for Change. And before the program, we were discussing several things. And umpisahan muna natin itong national issue na tungkol sa presidente. Yan ang mainit ngayon. No? Because, well, we all know that the presidency is a 6-year term, non-refundable.
Non-extendable.
Non-extendable, di ba? 6 years lang yan. And so far, it's worked since the time of Corazon Aquino, who instituted it. Nasa saligang batas natin yan. And then, of course, there was a little aberration during the time of Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, but then that was resolved by the Supreme Court that she could continue. So she was there for 10 years. Now, we have a president, a new president, si President Noynoy Aquino, na sinasabi ngayon niya na, teka muna, you know, I really want to be here for 6 years, but I have to listen to the clamor of the people. Teka muna, bata pa ako, narinig ko na yan.
Yeah,
no?
din, eh. Parang practically every president yata na
wants to extend.
Sabing ganun, you know, I'm listening to the clamor of the people for me to continue with my public service.
Sabi nga nung isang former first lady natin, I really don't want public office, but what if the people want? Okay, so here we go. Can the people want it? A 6-year extension of the term of a president. Not necessarily itong si Noynoy Aquino, but paano ba ito? Like for instance, our current president is now on his 4th year. He's got 2 more years to go, 1.5. Ngayon, pwede ba talaga magkaroon ng, what do you call it, the People's Initiative? What is the process by which a president's term can be extended under the present Constitution?
Okay, under the Constitution, the way for a president to have his term extended is by way of an amendment of the Constitution.
Okay.
So the process would be that the Congress, meaning both the House and the Senate, should by 2/3 vote pass a resolution for an amendment to the specific provision in the Constitution which fixes the term limits of the president to 6 years. So ang pag-amend dyan would either be probably for pwedeng 1 term of 4 years, 1 re-election, or pwedeng lang gawing 1 term of 6 years, 1 re-election.
So
they
12.
can do that. Now,
Okay.
after they have now passed that resolution, what happens is that the resolution of both houses of Congress will now have to submit this resolution to the public by way of a plebiscite. Meaning that there will have to be some sort of an election wherein the public will be asked, sang-ayon ba kayo dito sa gustong mangyari na pag-amyenda dun sa ating saligang batas?
Okay.
Specifically, na ang lalabas ngayon ay yung presidente ngayon ay pwedeng magkaroon ng 1 term of 6 years or 4 years as the case may be, and na pwede siyang ma-re-elect, immediately re-elected.
So, this can be done for the benefit of the current dispensation, hindi sa susunod.
That can also be decided by the passage of the resolution that it will have a tinatawag na prospective effect. No?
Okay.
Pwede din naman na sabihin nila na yan, it can be applied by the sitting president.
I see. So, posible. Pwede
Yes,
pala mangyari.
It can be done.
Okay, so in other words, first of all, as of now, the way I see it, no, the administration, si President Noynoy Aquino, he apparently has the numbers. For some things, I don't know kung sasama pa lahat yung mga yan pag charter change na.
Yeah.
Now, but he apparently has the numbers in passing laws that he wants to push through.
Yes,
diba?
yes.
Ngayon, anong time frame nito? Meron pa bang panahon from now till the coming presidential elections in 2016 to push through with a charter change, to push through with a plebiscite, and finally adopt it as a, what do you call it, a permanent
Well, an amendment.
An amendment to the Constitution?
Yes.
So meron pa bang time, may panahon pa?
I would think so. It's only August, no? Congress had just started or begun its new session, yung
Okay.
regular session. So long as it is done probably in a year's time, meaning from the proposal to the debates, to the voting by both houses, no? And then finally the passage of the bicameral resolution, then probably it can be done that they will give the instruction, provide for funds for COMELEC in order to conduct a plebiscite probably before July or August of 2015.
When will it be too late? Because it's 2014 August. Kailan natin masasabi, hindi na pwede yan? Hindi na mangyayari yan?
Might be too late if there is no plebiscite conducted by the time that it comes around for the Congress to already deliberate on the budget for 2016. Kasi yung eleksyon, no, kailangan may specific na budget yan. Pinaglalaanan ng gobyerno yan na merong pondo talaga for the 2016 elections. Now, obviously, no, even the plebiscite itself, kailangan meron specific budget yan. So, I can probably think that if they are not able to have the plebiscite by the third or fourth quarter of 2015, baka it might be too late.
Okay, so pagdating ng mga August or 1 year from now, pag dumating 1 year from now, hindi po kumikilos ang chacha, kung magkaka-chacha man, then it's not going to happen.
Yes,
it cannot be rushed.
It actually can be
It
rushed.
can be,
yes.
pwede pa rin, di
You know,
ba?
the good thing about congressmen and legislators, you know, if they really want to have something done very quickly, they can do it.
They can do it.
But of course, it has to follow a certain procedure, no? Meaning na there has to be quorum, there has to be a routing of the initial proposed bill, no, through the various committees of Congress, and then it is now submitted to the plenary. There's going to be another round of debate. There's going to be interpellations, blah blah blah. So medyo may mahabang process yan. But if they really want to push through with it, through hell or high water, there's no reason why it can't be done.
Okay, ngayon, because ang title again natin, Law, A Time for Change. Okay, ngayon, sasabihin ng mga congressmen, what if, no? Sabihin nila, kailangan natin charter change. And we will not touch the term of the president. Ang pag-uusapan natin dito, economic reform para ma-push through ang mga economic agenda ng ating gobyerno. So pwede ba sa kalagitnaan ng chacha, may charter change na, they've constituted themselves into, what do you call it, a constitutional assembly? Ano ba
Well, there is, that is one way, no? They have to constitute themselves as a constitutional commission.
Constitution. Ngayon, pwede ba mangyari yun? Hindi namin pag-uusapan we want charter change because we will talk about economic provisions. Pero pag nandun na, pwede nilang pwede nilang pag-usapan yan, ano? Yung andun na, na-constitute na yung ano, di ba?
That's correct.
And no one can stop them.
No, nobody can
Not even
stop
the
them.
Supreme Court.
No, not even the Supreme Court, because that is a function of Congress. They can actually do
so
it.
delikado yan. So there should not, if you're really against the extension of the president's term, there better not be any official charter change movement na ang Kongreso at ang Senado magiging constitutional commission.
Commission. That's
Okay?
right.
In which case, pag nabuo na yan, na-resolve yan, at approved yan, they can do anything.
Oh yeah, they can introduce whatever changes that they want, no, in the Constitution.
Yung parang they can say, because the people want. Ayun na naman tayo, di ba? Akala ko ba economic lang pag-uusapan nyo? No, the people want eh.
I think even in the news, they're saying that they are introducing changes as well to limit or to curtail the powers of the judiciary.
Okay, yun pa rin, di ba? Okay.
That's also an issue.
So, pero without a doubt, kailangan, I mean, there are some provisions in our Constitution that need to be changed. Economic, nakikita ko,
yes,
di ba?
I agree with you.
Pero ngayon, oras na sinimula na yon, I mean, that's it. It could open the floodgates to everything.
As to all the other
Yun ang
provisions
delikado
that
ron.
they want to...
Okay. So,
amend.
just so you're aware, okay, they could say, hey, we're only going to do it for economic, the economic provisions, and then they could suddenly become political.
Yes.
They could suddenly go into the functions of the judiciary.
Yes.
No? So delikado po 'yan, but so we better watch out. We better watch out for that. Ngayon, what is the only way to thwart it? People's initiative, meron bang people power na naman, nasabihin,
No.
itigil niyan. Hindi rin pwede.
No, it can't be done.
It can't be done.
Yes, because Congress has the right to form themselves into a constitutional body in order to enact laws and resolutions for the purpose of amending the Constitution. It is one of their powers. So, if it is merely just the exercise of something which the Constitution itself says that they have, there is nothing that the public can do to stop them. No?
Okay.
The only thing probably that can be done is for the public to put pressure as to which provisions of the Constitution actually deserve to be amended.
All right. Ngayon, kaya, if you are siding with the opposition, you better be very wary about any moves for a charter change, regardless of the initial purpose or objective. Ngayon, very quickly, sabi ng Supreme Court, ito daw pork barrel, itong development assistance
The Disbursement Acceleration Program.
DAP ni President Aquino is unconstitutional.
Yes.
Or not constitutional. Meron pa sila mga ganon. Ngayon, ang tanong ko rito, just because it's not constitutional does not mean it's a crime or does not mean you have committed a crime. Tama ba?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
It's the acts themselves which are deemed to be not in conformity with what the law provides.
Ayon. Kasi yung mga iba, unconstitutional, hindi, ikulong yan. Di ba? Hindi po ganun eh. Just because the president or any institution or any person does something na labag sa Constitution that is not constitutional, it does not mean that that person has committed a crime.
Yes.
Di ba? Ganon. Hindi po katulad ng nangyari sa ating mga tatlong senador. They are not talking about its constitutionality.
Correct.
I mean, they gathered evidence which show that there is probable cause of the crimes that they are accused of, and so they are now suffering the consequences. Ngayon, pag-uusapan din natin yan because several months ago, we have our good lawyer here, Attorney Raymund Fortun, who made a fearless forecast na makukulong yung tatlong yan. Yung tatlong senador na yan, makukulong before the SONA. Right on, spot on nangyari, no? So, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the law, a time for change. Anong papalitan natin? Dapat bang palitan? And many other things. This is almost like Law 101 for the general public like you and me. We'll be back with Attorney Raymund Fortun right after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Open House with Gerry Cornejo, where we feature people, places, and things that are in the news or should be in the news. And what we're discussing now is the law, a time for change. We're talking about, earlier we talked about extending the term of the president. Kailangan pala niyan, charter change, okay? There are other things that we'll be discussing, like before the break. Let's just touch on this topic very quickly. Itong DAP, Development Acceleration Program, ng Malacanang ni President Aquino declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court of the Philippines. Ngayon, marami nga nagsasabi dyan, unconstitutional, ay kulong yan, ikulong si Abad, ikulong si Noynoy Aquino. But then again, here we are, according to Attorney Fortun, just like sa akin paniniwala rin, validated by you, pakiliwanan nga ulit, ang if the president does an act that is not constitutional, declared by the Supreme Court, hindi ibig sabihin na criminal. It is not a crime.
It does not follow
Okay.
that it is a crime. One of the basic elements of a crime is what is known as criminal intent. Merong dapat intensyon na may mali siya para gumawa ng isang particular na akto na ipinagbabawal under our penal laws. So, kung yung kanyang paggawa ng isang bagay na labag sa konstitusyon ay wala namang mali siya. Meaning, ang intensyon ay para naman sa maganda.
Yes, yes.
Although, yun nga, ay hindi pala sumunod dun sa mga alituntunin, yung mga patakaran, mga polisiya, mga procedures, mga standards. No? For example, the issue of pwede ko bang kunin yung pondo na previously na naka-allocate for one project, ilipat ko to another project.
Hindi pwede.
Hindi pwede yan, procedural wise, no? Bawal yun eh, no? Yun to transfer funds from one project to another except if it is savings. Ngayon, ang ginawa nila ay sinabi nila, hindi gumagalaw itong proyekto na to. I declare you as savings, pwede ngayon kitang gamitin dun sa another project which was not there was no appropriation for. That act of getting the money, there's a need now to establish a criminal intent no, to deprive one project which would have been beneficial to a certain group of individuals or city or barangay or whatever, and now made these funds available to somebody who did not deserve it initially.
Okay.
Ngayon, pero kung ang intention mas malinaw, malinis, for example, kailangan ko yung pera kasi gusto kong kailangan yung ng pondo para bumili ng Doppler radar. I mean, obviously, the intention, again, was very clear. So,
Okay.
there may not be any legal basis to charge them criminally for the transfer of the funds to another project.
Okay. Sino ngayon na magde-determine yan? Congress again, because sinampa na ito apat na impeachment cases na yata sinampa against the President. 3 of which are will be heard or nasa agenda na ng Congress. So, sila na naman magde-determine yan.
Yes.
So, hindi ang Korte. Congress will determine.
No, to the determination of the existence of probable cause in order to file a criminal case is to be determined by the prosecution service of the government, meaning the Department of Justice.
Ayun.
Ngayon, ang tanong nga dito is, can actually the executive branch, the DOJ, pass judgment against its own boss, yung presidente? Medyo merong, for me, if we want to be fair, then we'd like to believe that the prosecution service is going to decide it on the basis of the merits, no? But personally, hindi natin may iwasan na magkakaroon ng konting pabor yan in favor of President Aquino. Because, siyempre, boss nila yan eh.
Tsaka, I mean, sa opposition, I really believe in a vibrant, active, even rabid opposition. Kailangan ng presidente yan eh. Because can you imagine, Attorney Fortun, the environment where a president is, Malacanang, wow, ang dami mga psychopaths dyan, ang dami mga sip-sip, ang dami mga brad, ang dami mga classmates, kaibigan, di ba?
And of course,
ang galing mo, boss.
And of course, nandiyan yung mga nandoon because merong hinahanap na pabor.
Of course, without a doubt. Can you imagine if you're surrounded with only those kinds of people? Kaya kailangan merong mga, to me, I believe that anything and everything the President does must be opposed and criticized by the real and true opposition. In other words, wag niyo siyang pahingahin. To me, I believe that kahit maganda lang ginawa niya, well, okay, do your next good thing. Don't sit on your laurels, di ba?
Right.
Until the very last day, until you step out of office, dapat may opposition. Although, admittedly, I am pro-Pinoy. I am pro-administration. Pero, hindi sa lahat, no? Sa lahat ng bagay. Hindi ako opposition. Let's make that very clear. I am not with the opposition. But I believe and I appreciate the value of the opposition. Nag-usap kami ni Attorney Raymund Fortun, ganun din siya, hindi ba?
Yeah, I'm not against the president. In fact, I am a diehard Cory fan. I owe my being a lawyer to Cory actually ascending to the presidency in 1986.
All right.
So ako, I will support all good initiatives by the president. Pero if it comes now to a question of doing something which I personally feel he should not touch on, then I'm going to express myself, no? Like kagayang ganyan, yung issue of charter change, yung term extension. For me personally, I find it very shameful. No? And I use that word very, shameful in a strong manner because I know for a fact that that provision in the Constitution fixing the term of the President to 6 years, no re-election, was at the initiative of President Cory herself. Why? Because we must remember that she fought a dictatorship. She made the decision to fight the dictatorship because she lost a husband to a dictatorship. And when we speak of a dictatorship, it was somebody who actually changed the Constitution way back in 1973 to fit him exactly. Meaning, at the time kasi, it was one term of 4 years, one re-election. Ang ginawa ni President Marcos was to obliterate the limits. Sinabi niya pwedeng as many extensions as possible, as many terms as possible. So you can see what happened. And the result was that we had to fight a dictatorship. We had to fight until finally it was toppled in 1986. Cory Aquino was the symbol of fighting a dictatorship. And now, you have the son coming up and saying, oh, I'm okay to having an extension of my term. It basically is a 180-degree turnabout to what the mother actually fought for way back in 1986. For me, the mere fact that the son even contemplated of having an extension of term is what is so shameful. Kasi parang hindi ba niya naisip yung kung ano yung pinagdaanan ng pamilya nila, kung anong pinaghirapan ng nanay niya, kung ano yung sinakop ng nangyari dun sa tatay niya because of a dictatorship.
Okay, so good. I mean, that is one point that, that we should always think about, no? Hindi lang yun. Para sa akin, I am pro-Pinoy, I am pro-administration, but hey, six years is it. After 6 years, exit ka na, di ba?
Yeah, the framers of the 1987 Constitution exactly said that. 4 years, no re-election may be too short for a good president. 8 years, meaning 4 years and 1 re-election. 8 years for a bad president is too long. So they actually agreed on a compromise. 6 years, no re-election. I mean, the spirit was very clear. The spirit was to avoid another dictatorship from happening in this country. So, of course, I'm not saying that Pinoy is going to be a dictator. But with all due respect, I mean, what he's been doing of late, he's actually moving towards that direction. Nilalabanan niya yung Supreme Court. Gusto niyang putulan yung powers ng Supreme Court. He wants charter change to limit the powers of the Supreme Court. He's basically saying, dapat ang presidente lamang ang masusunod. Mr. Supreme Court, hindi niyo ako pwedeng pakialaman kung meron akong gusto mangyari. That is de facto a dictatorship.
Hindi man na, pero Attorney Raymund Fortun, you are reading between the lines because ang talagang kumilos doon ang Kongreso.
Yes.
Ngayon, kung sabihin natin, well, ang Kongreso, kontrolado ni Presidente Noynoy, that's another story. But actually, it was not the executive department. Kung gawin niya yan, dapat i-impeach talaga siya. No? Well, but in fairness to President Noynoy, he may or may have not, he probably did tell his cohorts or maybe mga kasama niya sa Kongreso, hindi na kailangan bulungan pa, hindi ba? Alam na siguro nila kung anong gagawin or kung ano dapat gawin, di ba? But in fairness, I mean, the President did not order that. Though, if you read between the lines and if you listen to him closely, yun ang gusto niyang palabasin, di ba?
Right.
But again, this is the beauty of a democracy because everybody was saying, nako, in-appoint mo si Sereno, nako, magiging rubber stamp na yan.
Yes.
Thank God it didn't. He made the right appointments, di ba?
Yeah, love ko yan si Justice Sereno. She's turning out to be a really, really good
wonderful,
Chief Justice.
wonderful. And me, nako, kung naging rubber stamp yan, I'd be so disappointed. And let me just, this is all about you, Attorney Raymund Fortun, but let me just correct one thing. Because nagkaroon kami ng huddle dito noon, I mean, sinasabi nila, well, kasi sabi ko dati, you know, if the President serves the majority of the Filipinos, he has done his job. And what's the majority? Out of 100 million, 60 million.
Yes.
So, if he does things for the benefit of 60 million Filipinos, he would have proved that democracy, he would have worked for democracy and did it well. Eh, merong 40 million na dehado. Ngayon, just to make it clear, wala ako dito sa 60 million, ha? I can't say also I'm in the 40 million. Pareho lang ako, eh.
Yeah.
I mean, I try my best, you know, to in every area of my life, you know, and I've been the same during the past several presidents. Pero ito nakikita ko, okay si Noynoy. Kaya kasi you're one of the 60 million. No, I am not. I don't think so. You know, as a matter of fact, some of my most difficult times in recent memory is during the time of President Noynoy Aquino. Just to make it clear. Ngayon, matanong, ito nga yung DAP, sinasabi nila, buhay pa pala. Masama ba yung Attorney Fortun? Okay, palitan mo yung definition, kasi okay yung intention ng Development Acceleration Program. Okay ang intention.
Yes,
And it has done good. Okay, ngayon pagsabihin ng Supreme Court, under the present structure, mali yan, di pwede yan So, pinalitan yung structure, pinalitan yung pangalan. Is there anything wrong with that? Which is apparently what happened now. Di ba? Buhay pa rin meron pa rin siyang, the executive still has this power and the wherewithal to disburse programs for accelerated, economic programs. Andun pa rin yun hindi para alis
Actually, what happened was of course, part of the PDAF and the DAP was for medical assistance, to put up scholarships,
Yes.
for certain families. Walang problema yun we want the government to subsidize the cost of education. We want the government
Yes.
to have funds in order to provide medical services to our people. The problem is that nandun pa rin ngayon yung mekanismo wherein the congressman, and ito yung isi-stress ko, has the power now to dictate itong mga taong ito ang dapat na maging scholars. Itong mga taong ito na i-endorso namin, yung mga pangalan, ito ang mga pwedeng mag-avail ng medical assistance doon sa budget na ibinigay ng Kongreso doon sa DOH. Again, there is the problem of congressional intervention.
Okay.
Which was the main problem of the PDAF. Kasi as the scheme goes, Congress is supposed to provide the funds. They're supposed to say, ito yung pondo, ito yung mga proyekto dapat for the following year. Their job should end there. It is now the executive branch who should now implement the marching orders of Congress. What happens is that, sige, nandito na yung pondo, ibinigay na doon sa executive branch. And then, nandito na naman yung mga congressmen. Sila ngayon yung nagsasabi na, itong mga scholars ko, huwag niyong kakalimutan yan, o ito.
But they could say no.
They can always say no. They can always claim to say no. Pero, I mean, in the real scheme of things, how can you say no to a congressman if you're merely a government employee? You cannot. So the thing is, walang problema if you let the scholars get educational assistance through a competitive exam. Walang problema. I came from that kind of system. I was a government scholar during my undergrad years, and I went through an examination process. I placed within the top 5 in Metro Manila, and I was actually number 4 nationwide. But you see, I had to earn it. In the scheme na gusto mangyari ng right now, for the 2015 budget, merong additional na pondo for the CHED, wherein there are now scholars. They're supposed to give scholarships. Pero, as the tape obtained by Congressman Tino would reveal, is that the congressmen were assured that they would now be able to submit the names of the chosen scholars of the congressmen.
Okay.
Nandun na pa rin yung political patronage.
Okay.
Even if these people do not deserve actually the scholarship simply because they are the wards or the favored sons, quote-unquote, of the congressmen, then they are given a scholarship. Where's the fairness there?
Okay, but again, in fairness also, hindi naman sinabi na basta ibigay nyo, approved. Di ba?
No.
Hindi sinabi yun.
I don't think that was what was discussed. Basta sinabi lang is that this is the mechanism.
bigay
Actually,
niyo yung
this is your
nyo.
PDAF.
Alright.
Sinabi niya nga,
Okay.
yun na nabanggit This is your PDAF.
Okay, getting more interesting here. Time for change. Ang ating batas, tingnan po natin. And we have with us one of the experts in the country, and that's Attorney Raymund Fortun. This is Open House with Gerry Cornejo, and we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Open House with Gerry Cornejo. And again, the topic now is law. The law, a time for change. Napag-usapan na po natin would be should there be chacha? Watch out for the charter change. Yan po ang pinaka-dangerous na pwedeng mangyari at this point. Especially when the executive is talking about and considering an extension of the presidential term. Just to recap, pwedeng tsa-tsa, sabihin, economic provisions lang ang papalitan natin. But once Congress has constituted itself into a constituent assembly, wala na pong magagawa. They can tinker around with the whole Constitution and there's nothing you and I can do about it. All right? So just be careful about that. Ngayon, after the break, we were talking about Development Acceleration Program na mukhang pinalitan lang ang pangalan, pinalitan yung proseso, pero available pa rin yon. But let me ask you this, Attorney Fortun. Hindi ba kailangan din ng presidente? I mean, don't you think that the president needs the DAP in order to push through with some programs na, kasi yung mga iba dadaan pa sa Kongreso kung magdedebate pa dito. Ito kailangan na eh. Di ba kailangan na itong gumawa ng port dito o itong gumawa ng bagong, some government project? Usually, ang daming pagdadaanan yan. Hindi ba meron din siyang kailangan na his own, sama kasi pakinggan pork barrel eh, pero his own funds to use, for the benefit of the country.
No, the thing is kasi nga is that actually it's the executive branch that has a say on what are supposed to be the expenditures for the following year.
Okay.
Kaya nga ang nangyayari dito is meron tinatawag na budget deliberations, no? During the last quarter of every year, tinatawag yung mga bawat ahensya, pinasasubmit ng budget. Diyan nakalaan na already kung ano yung gusto nila mangyari for the following year.
Okay.
If there was really an intention to set up a port or to build an airport or to build a convention center, the previous year pa lamang, sigurado na naisip na nila yan, na
Okay.
ito ay essential na kailangan mangyari the following year. And that's why it is proposed. That's why, for me, if it is really necessary, there's nothing which should stop the executive branch from proposing it for purposes of being included in the following year's budget. Hindi yun yung tipong parang, o magsiset tayo ng big lump sum amount, no? Yan yung pork barrel, para kung kailan meron ngayong biglaan na,
Yun ang
biglaan,
purpose.
then dun ngayon meron ka mapaghuhugutan.
Mga Yolanda, for instance.
Okay, in the first place, Yolanda, there's a calamity fund.
Okay.
So, and that's a big fund.
Kung kinulang?
Kung yan ay kinulang, okay, nag-usap na kami ni Senator Sagisag tungkol dyan. If let's say, if for example, middle of the year pa lamang, dinagsa yung bansa natin na napakaraming bagyo na naubos ngayon, na-deplete ngayon yung funds. There are actually two ways of remedying the solution. Number one is what is known as a supplemental budget. Congress can actually convene in order to come out with a supplemental budget para madagdagan yung pondo. It's no different from yung kunyari sa isang household. Meron kang budget. Di ba? Kunyari, sa isang buwan, itong i-budget natin, let's say 10,000 pesos. Yan ang budget natin sa pagkain. Bigla ngayong nagmahal ang bilihin. Makikita mo, pagdating pa lamang ng third week, nauubusan na. Then, you can actually transfer or augment yung naunang budget for that. That's what I'm saying. There is a mechanism in order for additional funds to be infused for an urgent need. That's one. Number two, if it is really something which is just so absolutely urgent that calling Congress to pass a supplemental budget would not be quick enough, then for me, personally, I think if the President decides now to suspend the funds allocated for one project and uses that funds in order to support or augment yung urgent emergency need because of a calamity. Yes. For me, I do not think that may be a violation of the General Appropriations Law, but because of the urgency, then I can say justified yan. I will not put him to task for it. Ngayon, yung DAP, pag tiningnan mo ngayon lahat ng mga proyekto ng DAP, yung mga nilabas nila, was there anything there that was really an emergency? I don't think so. I do not think so.
Hindi, pero hindi naman talaga yung emergency was just my term.
Yes.
Di ba? Development acceleration, in other words, para mapabilis. Di ba? So, hindi naman sinabing emergency fund to.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, kung talagang para mapabilis, why didn't they think of that before? O kundi, probably kasi meron ng mga proyekto yan. Why don't they, pardon my French, make the necessary push dito sa mga implementing agencies na to para kumilos yung proyekto na yon. Why would you punish this agency for being slow in implementing a project and depriving that person of the funds, ililipat mo sa iba? There's something ethically wrong about it. Kasi sabi mong ganun, okay, pinaboran natin, meron namang pagbubuti dito sa nilipatan na project. Eh, na-deprive naman itong isa.
Okay.
Yun naman ang masama.
Now, this is a wonderful, maganda-maganda itong mga sinasabi mo because, it gives our audience, a different perspective of what's going on. No, especially hindi, tama yung DAP na yan. Ito naman ang mali dyan because wala naman perfect na system.
Yes.
Pero ito ngayon, we have to talk about this. Something you're probably more familiar with or are very much aware of. Paano ngayon yung sinabi na ngayon ng Supreme Court, yung DAP nyo, yung mga PDAP na yan, unconstitutional yan. Pero yung totoo ba na meron silang sarili nilang pork barrel fund that they don't even want to discuss or disclose or stop? Totoo ba yun?
Ang alam ko po, meron silang tinatawag na Judiciary Development Fund.
O yun din yun. In other words, merong bilyones dyan na itinabi dyan na huwag niyong pakialaman to, kami bahala rito. Di ba? Huwag niyong silipin, hindi niyo kailangan malaman. Yun ang from what I gather sa mga news reports, parang yun ang sinasabi ngayon ng Supreme Court. Paano yung nyo? Paano yung pork barrel nyo? Sinitan nyo na yung pork barrel ng Kongreso. Sinitan nyo na yung pork barrel ng Executive. Paano yung department nyo? Meron din kayo Which not too many people were aware of. Di ba? Turuan di ba? O ngayon, paano ngayon yan, Attorney Fortun? Parang, paano ngayon, hindi magagalaw yung niya? There's no mechanism, there's no procedure to force the Supreme Court to reveal how, where, when they spend that fund?
I understand from the Supreme Court spokesman, si Attorney Teddy Ted, that actually yung accounting ng Judiciary Development Fund can be accessed by anybody dun sa kanilang website. It is under the topic, I think, accountability.
Okay.
No, so nandoon naman. So if it's just a question of disclosure, transparency, the Supreme Court is saying that they have actually been transparent all through the years. In fact, nung kini-question sila dyan, nung lumabas yung decision ng DAP, that was sometime around June of this year, sabi ng Supreme Court, you can go check the website and up to the first quarter of 2014, fully accounted for yung kung saan napunta yung Judiciary Development
Pero hindi
Fund.
ba may butas-butas yata yan? I mean, I think during the time of Corona or certain justices, meron mga 2-year gap, 3-year, walang report. Ito ngayon meron, ito ngayon wala. Pinapabuo sa kanila totoo bang hindi nila mabubuo yun? I mean,
yun ang hindi ko rin din masasagot.
Yeah.
But that's all that I was told as well, and from the pronouncements of the Supreme Court. Sabi nila, you can access the use of the Judiciary Development Fund in their own website. Ngayon, let us backtrack. The JDF was actually created because of a law passed by Congress itself.
Okay.
So the truth is that you asked me, is there a way by which this can be somehow amended? Palagay ko,
Kongreso.
it is a law that was passed by Congress. It's probably a fund that can also be abolished by Congress. Ngayon, ang problema dito is pag inabolish natin yung JDF, then it actually affects quite a huge number of court employees. My understanding is that the JDF accounts for about 20% of the allowances and emoluments ng mga court employees. So, if it's gonna be taken out simply because gusto lang gumanti ng Congress dun sa ginawa ng Supreme Court na inabolish yung PDAF, then you're going to have a huge number of court employees who are going to be all up in arms against the
ganun din ang nangyari sa executive, ganun din ang nangyari sa executive sa Kongreso, di ba? Yung mga nakikinabang sa mga PDAF nila, di ba? Wala, hindi pwede yan. Constitutional yan. Ang point ko lang, if it's unconstitutional for the executive and for the Congress, why is it constitutional for them? Di ba delikado yan? Yung parang...
I think there has to be a determination as well whether there
delikado.
was an unconstitutionality. In both the cases kasi yung PDAF, merong ebidensya na lumabas na talagang merong paglabag sa konstitusyon. Kaya yan ay sinabing yan ay inabolish. Same thing with the DAP. Merong mga tao na nagpakita ng ebidensya, pinakita nila yung hindi pagsunod dun sa mga proseso na inilagay sa ating konstitusyon. So, if there's going to be a move to abolish the JDF, then I would think that there has to be an initiative as well, filed by whomever.
And which is happening now.
Right.
Ngayon, andyan na naman, sabi ng Kongreso, hindi, kailangan pag-usapan natin yan. Kailangan ilantad yan. Then everybody say, persecution, inuutos ng Malacanang na binabawian ng balik tayo ro, binabawian ng Supreme Court. Sa akin naman, logical lang. Inalis mo yung pork barrel namin, inalis mo, ba't kayo meron?
Yeah.
Saan nyo inaano yan? Pag-usapan natin.
Yes. Well, what is sauce for the goose should be sauce for the gander.
Exactly. Hindi ba? Ngayon sinasabi nila, because we need it. Because there are times we have to augment the number of judges. Tama. Yes. We have to increase the mga allowances.
Yes.
Totoo, lahat yan totoo. But, what is sauce for the goose should be sauce for the gander. And it's not happening right now. So, but everything else, overview nito, maganda nito, this proves that we have a vibrant democracy. Hindi ba? Wala naman talagang nakikita mo, yung isa hindi talaga kayang sapawan yung isa, hindi papayag eh. Hindi ba?
Yun ang importante,
Yeah,
Gerry. No? In order for us to have a good kind of democracy, there has to be a good system of checks and balances.
Which is happening.
Kailangan dapat, the three branches of government should be policing themselves. Kung ano yung mali nung isa, pwede talagang sitahin ng kabila. No, that's why, for me personally as well, it may be wrong, no, to actually clip the powers of the Supreme Court. Because that would mean that the Supreme Court would now be on not a co-equal branch in the true sense of the word.
Pondo lang naman pinapag-usapan. Yung pork barrel lang naman eh, hindi naman yung powers nila
The clipping of powers of the Supreme Court is more as to what can be the issues that the Supreme Court can touch upon.
Okay.
Meaning yung kanilang substantive powers, not just merely the fund.
Okay.
Kasi yung pondo, madali lang naman yun. No? I-take away mo yung JDF, ang gagawin lang naman ng Supreme Court when the budget time comes, they're going to submit now. Everything now is going to be tinatawag na above board. Meaning, lahat ngayon ng sweldo is going to be declared. Ngayon, hindi na yung meron kang pondo, tapos doon mo ngayon sinasubsidize yung mga emoluments ng mga empleyado.
Okay, very quickly, we just have 1 minute here. Ano mangyayari sa kaso ng mga senator, ng mga plunder na ito? And what is the time frame? Do you see this being resolved within the presidency of Noynoy Aquino or lalagpas ito?
Fearless forecast na
fearless
naman.
forecast na naman. Spot on ka nung una eh. Sabi mo, makukulong yan bago mag-SONA. O ngayon, tapos na yung SONA, nakakulong na sila, nakadetain na. Ano mangyayari ngayon? Mariresolve ba itong kaso na ito during the presidency of Noynoy Aquino or not? No, it will not.
The evidence is just too much. The courts would not be able to handle all the documentary evidence and accept all the testimonies before the
May impeach ba si President Aquino?
No.
Magkakaroon ba ng charter change?
I'll probably give you a more clear forecast probably in the next 2 months. No? For
2
now,
months,
kasi ang feeling ko kasi is that that term extension was actually a trial balloon. I'd like to think that Malacanang is actually looking at it, sent the trial balloon out, and now is looking at public sentiment and then decide where they're going to go.
Right. And I think we both agree we shouldn't even go there.
Yeah.
We should not go to charter change. Meron mga kailangan palitan sa ating constitution, but ang delikado nga ron, once you go into it, they can tinker around with anything and any provision there in the Constitution. So mag-ingat po tayo. Just a few seconds, your audience, Attorney Raymund Fortun.
There are a lot of things not to change in our laws, but we all just have to have faith that the laws are there in order to protect our rights. Laws may be harsh, but they are the law. So only in such instances where the public is not being served properly by the law, that's the only time that there is a need for a change in the law. For now, we should all have faith in our judicial process, and we should have faith that justice will prevail in the end.
Very good. Okay, with that, maraming salamat, Attorney Raymund Fortun.
Thank you.
God bless you always, and God bless the Filipino people. I'm Gerry Cornejo. Until next time, I love you. God bless you. Take care.